when you've been through the swing build process and your overall technique is looking good, you know, you've trained yourself not to let the arms fly around. There's one other, I suppose, the final piece of the whole jigsaw. And there's one little set of movements that can actually add so much to the efficiency of everything. And it's how the wrists hinge. Now, if I was to set myself up here, as I hinge, really my left wrist, if you think about it, to maintain, I suppose, the setup position or impact position, my wrist actually hinges this way. There's no folding back, or it's called cupping in the golf business. The cupping of the left wrist, that's wrong, that's very weak. And as I say, I'll explain this as we go along in the next few set of videos. So my wrist's actually hinging up and down. And what actually happens here, when you're doing this, it's actually very solid. When I've finished the backswing here, it's hinging right down, my thumb along the top ridge of my forearm. The club can't really wobble anywhere. When it's cupping like this, there's no pressure. When it's the correct way, there's this pressure. And what it actually happens now, we'll say everything's under tension. It's not tense, but it's under tension. Most golfers are trying to hit the ball with tense muscles, which actually the force causes, we call it the casting. The wrists, there's no pressure here now. The wrists are now floating. Whereas when we do it correctly, we're under tension. That tension is maintained all the way down. And it's that lovely strike at impact where it's almost like you do nothing, but that energy is released right through the ball. And you actually feel it to impact as if the wrists are still, you know, you still have this kind of loading up feeling. So doing it properly, when I hinge back now, or fold my wrists or hinge correctly, when I'm in this position, this is me hinging without any backswing turn. My front hand, my left hand, I can only see one knuckle. If I cut my wrists here, I can see my whole, you know, the back of my hand. That's wrong. So now if it's here, one knuckle, but with my right hand I can now see two. And what's actually happened is I've done this hinging. As we go this way and doing it correctly, my right upper arm is actually pushed in. So when I get to the top of the swing, it's very compact here. There's no, if I now bow my wrists over a couple, I can now feel that this kind of flies. It's too loose, floppy. Back to this position, the correct position, and everything's really nicely tucked in. Very powerful when you think about it. When I come into the ball, the right elbow staying forward allows the club to stay back longer, so it's released just that bit later. Whereas if I'm here and my arm flies out, not only is it throwing the club off plane, it's actually it's a weak position, and when the wrists are cupping, it's actually very hard to get any real consistent strike. Even your trajectory will change. You know, even if you're swinging well, you'll hit one a bit higher, a bit lower. Whereas when you're in the correct position, everything's delivered very consistently into the ball. So you get a real, you know, not only are you going to hit it further, straighter, but it's more consistent in its trajectory. So the hinge back, one knuckle here of the left hand, two in my right hand, and all I'm going to do is turn now. And it's very solid as we come through the ball. So remember this, it's no cupping of the wrist there. Very solid. And then as we're coming through, it's released almost like a mirror image, but we'll cover that later.